follow-up, just how would you want to see this sort of play out over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think right now we're trying to establish really two things, are the fundamentals and techniques of the schemes, right? We're not truly diving into the scheme at the moment. Fundamentals and technique, and then as well our culture. The way that we're going to play the game, our style of play. Those are the two things that we'd like to be able to get out of this, especially in phase one, where you're not on the grass with the players. We're really installing our basic core fundamentals and principles and techniques, and then also the culture, our style of play, and our commitments as well.
You guys put the fifth-year option on Trayvon. Are there any plans with Devin Lloyd right now to pick up the fifth-year option?
No plans right now in terms of we're having those conversations, getting used to the player, right? We just got to get used to him a little bit and get to know him a little bit. We're excited about him. Guy that we see we can do some things with. Like, we do feel excited about some of his versatility and experience. So some of those conversations, they'll be open and honest and communicated.
Toughness that you talked about this franchise used to have. Can you get that now? What
Yeah.
do you do? How do you start to?
That's a great. We actually had that conversation today with the players. I know that this is not a physical time. It can't be, and it isn't. But the establishing of the mindset, the way that we're going to do things, the way that we want the meetings, like Coach Camp brought up today, our meetings should be tough, right? Like, we're learning new information. It's all very new for everybody. That's hard. It's hard to do for a coach, for a player. It's hard to learn. So when you do hard things and you come out on the other end, usually you say, well, I got tougher from that. So we do believe that we can start to establish that. That was similar in Tampa last year when we got to the off-season program and got into it. You could start to see the toughness come out in the way that we broke the huddle, the way that we communicated, the way that we actually ran off the ball. You could see some of that stuff come to life.
Can you talk a little bit about the decision, I think, no top 30 visits here, and maybe the change in philosophy for that?
I can let James detail that a little bit more. It's more so just, hey, we're trying to keep everything that we're doing in-house and, trusting, we'll do some things possibly virtually and things like that with guys that we need to have another touch point with. But ultimately, it's not something that we're going to be interested in doing at the moment.
What's it been like going through the draft process now as a head coach as opposed to coordinator in the past?
Yeah, special teams matter. So, you have to look at the whole, right? It's starting anew for me in a lot of ways, right? Where you've been used to evaluating offensive players, and then naturally when you're evaluating offensive players, defensive players shine, right? And you start to see that. And then in recruiting in college, you're recruiting defensive players as well. But the whole entirety, how they fit into the puzzle, the vision, what we're trying to establish, and how those players end up fitting into those situations, it's different. It's just a different perspective. It's great to listen to the collaboration between personnel and coaching when it comes to some of these meetings. So it's been great to listen. I've been doing a little bit more listening than talking right now.
Coach, do you find it hard to strike a balance between lining up in 2025 or what's better for the franchise down the road when evaluating the draft prospects?
Yeah, I think ultimately in this world that we're in, it's what have you done lately, right? What are you doing in the now in order to show success and to show that we're going in the right direction? So ultimately, we have 10 picks. We're going to lean on some of those guys to play early on. And ultimately, we can't be afraid of that, right? We had 3 of them in Tampa last year play and have a lot of success for us. We can't be afraid of that moment and to play some young players. So the goal is to get better quicker, right? With having a vision, so having long-sustained success, that's important to us. But at the moment, we're looking at winning right now.
Is setting the culture the most important thing for right now?
Yeah.
This is your first time with the building.
That's right. Yeah, we had a team meeting about rules and regulations, introductions. We had a team meeting as well about our style of play, first and foremost. Really, before we dive into the culture, we're going to dive into the way that we're going to play out on the grass. We also had a culture meeting with the entire building, which was really cool. where it was all departments, everybody was involved, and it was just a cool way of getting together, establishing the communication lines and how we want to do things and operate. So it is very important at this moment in time for us, yeah.
Are you putting Trevor on any kind of reduced throwing schedule or anything like that for the spring?
He's been working on it himself right now in terms of like monitoring that with the doctors and with Will and Ferg and those guys downstairs. We haven't had anything to do with it at the moment. As we lead in, we're optimistic that we'll get there, you know, in terms of where we need to go. He'll be on a pitch count for those things in terms of where he has to get to, because he has little touch points he needs to reach before he can obviously get out onto the grass and do it full speed. Everything's moving forward. He feels really good right now, so excited about that.
How challenging is this time of year for a new strength and conditioning staff, not knowing this roster, really not having their hands on it until right now?
Yeah, I think it could be looked at it as a challenge. I think it could also look, it's like a blank slate for these guys, because there's no pre-existing, you know, just thoughts about anybody. It's just, hey man, this is how we're doing it. These are the things that we're going to do, while also gearing it towards, at some point here, individual development plans for each player. So as we go, we're setting the standards in the weight room, how we want to operate. Skills will lift this way, the big skill here, and the bigs will, they all have different weights and things that they're doing, but the mode of operation, the standard, the communication will all be similar. So I think it's actually great that they are starting from scratch and having those relationships be able to be fostered. And then as we grow, get to know each other a little bit more, those IDPs will become a little bit more common.
This portion of the offseason is obviously voluntary. How would you evaluate participation right now with your 90-man roster?
Very high. Very high. Very pleased. Very appreciative of the guys for being here, taking the time, knowing that it is voluntary, but it's definitely setting a positive standard right now.
How valuable is it seeing the free agents kind of start to integrate themselves into the current roster?
Yeah, it's big. And we've signed 10, right? And that's a large number of guys to be able to come in. We've got all the players' faces downstairs in the lobby as you walk in, new and, you know, former players. And really just at the end of the day, most players that do come in, it is a little bit like being a freshman back in high school again, reintegrating. But, you know, the goal is for these guys to be able to come in, work their tails off, earn respect throughout the way that they're going to be able to, you know, kind of get through this program and planning. And they've been positive so far, though.
So this is kind of a feeling out process. You get to know the guys kind of get to know you and the staff.
Very much so. You know, but before we can do anything, we've got to be able to show them at least we care, right? We care first. And we care about not only the success of the organization, but also the development of the player. And when they know that, hey, we're here to truly help see you become the best version of yourself, both on and off the field, once we establish those lines, start to have more intimate conversations, well, that's usually when you feel them start to maybe let the guard down and say, okay, hey, I'm open to hearing maybe a new way of learning or a different way of doing this, and vice versa for coaches as well.
To the O-line, are you satisfied with the free agents, or are you still looking at that room a little bit more?
Yeah, I think from that standpoint, we're always looking to add to the roster, whether it's through the draft, free agency, things like that. But I do believe we brought in some players to come help compete in that room. A couple, you know, obviously with Hainsey knowing the system and Macari playing a lot of football and guys coming in, it's only going to help, right? Help add competitiveness to the room, and also just some accountability to knowing the system. That'll help everybody in that room. So it's cool. Both of our centers actually know a version of the system in different ways, but it's only going to help bringing those guys in.
I know you said you guys were still evaluating with Devin, but why were you so confident in picking up the fifth-year option for Trayvon at this point, before off-season workouts began?
You know, it's just the type of guy, getting to know him a little bit, and knowing that, hey, this is somebody we know we want to be a part of, right? We want to have this relationship. And now once we get him in the building, under our roof, getting to know each other a little bit more and creating those conversations, I think that was really what stood out.
You mentioned, I think last week or whatever, the owners meetings, the power touch and that study. Did that intrigue you when you first learned about that? Is that something you really want to incorporate here in the culture you're establishing?
That's right. You just look at connection, and nowadays connection's so hard to actually create because so much of our lives are, on a phone, and just having interpersonal conversations, and also, just the old fist bump, the high five, the chest bump, like just that helps bring people together. You look at every free throw a basketball player shoots, and it's here. And so how do we continue to add that into, like, as a kid when you were taught to celebrate, what did that look like? And that's what we're ultimately trying to get to, is bringing the team together, bringing the coaches and staff together to do something that ultimately we've never done before.
The hunt came out last week, and it showed you going back home and being able to spend some time with your family. Just how much does that mean to you, just being able to do that after achieving your dream?
I appreciate that question. Yeah, that was really cool. It was when you've wanted something for so long, and the people that helped raise you and that were around that saw that from a young age, and were able to support you throughout those times and getting to that goal, to share those moments in that time that we don't usually get. It was really special. It's hard when you move around in this profession, or in any profession that we live in. It becomes hard to become closer with family, and that was a really special weekend.
Coach, a lot of people, like this time of year, are looking for tendencies, right? And you guys don't have any yet. They want to go to the Rams or to the Bucks or to Green Bay with Campanile. What's the process been like for you to make this and create this as your own individual thing?
That's a great one. You're always pulling, right? Everybody's pulling from different places to ultimately make it ours, right? And we've got to watch those tapes of where we all came from, and find out what is the 25 Jags though? Like, how does this fit us? If we may not have that answer right now, that's the kind of cool part, is we're going to throw as much at these guys mentally in this offseason, as much as we can handle, and probably more, much more actually, because it's not a physical time of the year. It's a time of the year we can stress them mentally. Ultimately, throw that as much at them as we can from Minnesota, from Tampa, from LA, from Green Bay, whatever it is, and see what we can handle. We're not going to know who we're truly going to be for a while, but it's more so testing to see how much they can handle, and if maybe some of those concept schemes, fundamentals fit our players. That's a great question, because that's something that we're constantly working through right now as a staff.
A couple more quickies.
You said on SiriusXM, in building Trevor into what you guys ultimately want him to be, the footwork has to be something where you start kind of at ground zero. Can you work on that now, knowing his injury was to his shoulder?
Yeah.
As much as you can kind of illustrate, maybe.
Right. I mean, as we've gotten him now in the building, we are trying to create black and white lines when it comes to footwork in ways, so that understanding that the game is played in the gray. There's so much that occurs on a play. If you can have core fundamentals in footwork and that you believe in and that you trust, in those times of crisis, you have something to actually fall back on and play with a quieted mind. And so this is a great opportunity now that he is a little limited from a throwing standpoint, that we can dive into the footwork. He can dive into it on his own time and really work at this thing. So he's committed to it. It's something that we feel strongly about, that can help him continue to get better. And ultimately on Sundays, we hope that shows up.
Last one. From what you've seen with Trevor over the last few years on tape, just how much does he need to push to change that footwork or anything like that?
It's not really a change, just tweaking. He's extremely talented, and he's made some unbelievable plays in critical moments and led some huge comebacks. He's played hurt. He's done so many good things. Now it's just about, okay, how do we fine-tune it and just tighten it up a little bit to get him in a place where he's comfortable to cut the ball loose on time and in rhythm, regardless of the circumstances. And that's really what it comes down to. Being able to give him some balance around him so that he can feel like, man, not every play is on me. Right? Not every play every throw I have to make is going to have to be life or death, man. We've got to create some balance for him so that he can just go play quieted with free of failure and just go let it rip.
All right, Coach, thank you so much.
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks guys.
Fine, excited, a lot of good energy in the building, ready to all improve together and get this thing rolling for sure.
What's it like to get to know Coach Camp and the new staff?
It's like I said earlier, it's exciting for real. Like they come in with their own energy, kind of, new energy to the team. Obviously they're a little bit younger, but I feel like that resonates a little bit better in the room and everything right now. But just the passion that they speak with every time they're speaking definitely rubs off on us the right way. And just take that into all of our workouts. Take that into, when we get on the field together. A lot of guys all willing to improve and get better together as a team.
What do you think the challenge is for you guys this year, just with all the newness, all the
Right.
change?
I think that's a challenge every time you step into a new system or new coordinators, new coaches. One, just embracing coaching. Two, just trusting what they have in store, trusting their plan. And then three, just, understanding whatever the scheme is or whatever the plans are and playing your best football. I think that's always going to be a challenge when you got new teammates, new coaches and everything. So just really embracing everything and trusting that everything's meant for the better of the team.
Is there any coach you've previously had that you could compare communication style, energy, Coach Camp to?
I don't think so. I mean, he a Northeastern dude. I've had some, maybe in like college and stuff, I don't think a coach though, but I've seen personality similar, but not, at the coaching level. It's really cool though. Like I love his energy that he brings and the passion that he talks with. I feel like it's going to be contagious for the defense.
The follow-up question is, have you seen the Hard Knocks clip about ass whooping as an international language?
I don't watch Hard Knocks, so
Okay,
no.
so it was on the internet, apparently. Apparently, in a speech to the entire team.
Really?
Referred to.
I might have to go watch that tonight
Yeah.
then.
Boy, they're talking about Coach Coen talking about instilling his culture and all that other stuff. Was there a badly needed culture change here? Did you guys badly need new culture here?
We didn't win last year, so I think whatever changes that are coming are accepted because obviously we didn't play up to the standard that we needed. So whatever was going on, if it's we can't really promise more wins, but obviously we needed maybe a new way to attack the season, a new way to attack the off seasons and stuff. So I think everybody's very accepting of everything new that's in store for us. If that equates to more wins.
Foye, with where you play, I'm sorry, Mike. With where you play, does alignment really matter? Is it better for you to have a zero or a nose tackle in some schemes? They don't have that where they have.
I think it depends on the team that we're playing for real. I think I want my linemen to eat more than me because if they're disruptive, giving off the ball, if I feel like we have a zero that can beat up their center, he can disrupt every play, it's going to make my job easier. So at the end of the day, I feel like what's best for them is going to be the best for me. Obviously, sometimes you want the guard, if they have good guards, they get up to that second level, we can maybe disrupt that. But at the end of the day, it's still the lineman eating first. And I feel like whatever, as long as we got linemen doing everything, I feel like I'm good to go.
You've been through changes, coaching stuff before. Does it wear on you at some point? It's like another system I got to learn. I mean, this is what, 3 years?
I mean, I can be real with you. I think that might be something that's not talked about a lot. But I think going through a lot of coaches, a lot of systems, whether offensively or defensively, can take a toll. But, I think if you go about it with the right mindset of learning and understanding that it can make your game better, accepting what they're trying to coach you on and stuff, like after that, being in so many different schemes, you kind of seen everything. So, these guys are going to push me, and I feel like it's coming at a great time in my career. It's like get better or, obviously better than what I had last year or, you don't know what's going to happen after this. So, I'm taking every challenge on, ready to go, attacking everything. But I'm definitely very excited to accept new coaching and new understandings of defense.
When did you kind of get to that realization? Is that something that you've kind of always known, or?
No, I definitely didn't always know that. Yeah, I had I think if you're new in the league, being in the same system is going to benefit you for let's say that rookie contract. Because now you're not, always second guessing stuff. Like everything's kind of set in stone. You're just playing football based off what the offense does instead of worrying about what you do. I had a new coach my last year in Atlanta. That was, learning something on the fly, and the contract year is like get better or get out. To me, that's kind of the pressure I put on myself. Fortunately, I was able to play well, and I came here, had a new coach. It was meet expectations or they're going to move on. you know, and then all of a sudden you get a new coach. Now it's like rise to the expectation, raise your level of play, or you know what's going to happen. So I think it's always cool challenges that I feel like are good for the growth of individually, but they are hard in the moment to like maybe unlearn and relearn. But you know, I'm a professional football player. It's my job, so that's what I got to do.
There's a lot of young guys in the linebacker room with you, maybe on their first contracts, and have been going through different coaching staffs. Have they been leaning on you heavily through this?
I think we're all pretty bright, very talented. I definitely always offer my advice because the better we all play, you know, it's going to be good for the room, going to be good for the team. But yeah, if they have questions about what I'm seeing, for sure, I'm always offering my expertise, I say. But they're very bright, the rest of the guys and stuff. So like, you know, I got all the confidence in them to pick up new stuff. I've seen it 2 times now, and able to play at a high level.
To see Trayvon get the 5th-year option picked up.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling you'd smile when I said that. For you guys who've been here a couple of years, what does he mean to that collective group?
You know, I've seen his growth from his rookie year to now, and even last year when, you know, things were kind of going awry and stuff, he was still putting his best foot forward. I just like his work ethic as a player, you know, schemes, whatever. I just like his work ethic. So I feel like in a scheme that's going to benefit him, the coaches who use his talents and hard work and his mentality to the best of his ability, only the sky's the limit for him. So I'd always, you know, that he's an athletic specimen and stuff, but he also got that hard working mentality. So I just love being around him.
You talked a little bit about getting to know Coach Camp. What do you thought about getting to know Coach Coen?
He's cool. I mean, like I said, these coaches got they got a great personality and a lot of good energy. So I think they're very direct. I think they're very relatable. But they always they shoot it straight, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to be around people like that because I don't like shying away from what needs to be said or what I need to do. But also like allows for a growth mindset. Like if I feel like I'm seeing something I don't feel because it's so honest of a relationship between us, or it will be, I can go to them, say and they're really going to take that into account. And but they always want the best for me because they want the best for the team. They're always going to relay exactly what they're meaning. So I'm excited to be around him.
Kind of building off of that, do you feel like this isn't just here, just like at large, conflict aversion? Is that something that people like run from conflict when sometimes having confrontation and like discussing your problems?
I feel like people do that. I don't know what their backgrounds are. I just know how I was raised. Like you couldn't escape it, so you might as well go get your punishment, or shoot. So yeah, like whatever the conflict is, it's gonna be there tomorrow unless you go attack it now. So I like going to see what's really being thought, what I really need to do. Let me fix that right now, or know what I need to fix. That way I can go do it.
The younger guys lean on you and you can offer your advice to them, but are there guys that you lean on, maybe more veteran guys or mentors that you still keep in contact with whenever you might have any questions or anything like that?
Very close with Josh, Trayvon. Eric has been a good piece to add because he's done it at a high level for a long time. I got a lot of friends around the league. Really any teammate that I was close with and played with back in the day. One of my staples I just watch really, like I'll hit him up sometimes, but Grady Jarrett in Atlanta. I mean, just how he came in the league, late round pick, and then what he's made himself into, and he always working and you know, a staple of the defenses that he's on. Definitely try to emulate my career off of what I saw from him. So that's always like a good role model. Obviously, you got sometimes some linebackers come here, joint practices. I went to talk to Levante David last year and stuff. He gave me good advice on how to attack off seasons and stuff to be able to be playing at a high level all the way through the season as your body, you know, as you get older in the league. So I'm always looking for advice and tidbits on how to get better and stay better. So, yeah.
As new strike coach, just in terms of your first impressions of him and sort of the team, and what does that mean for you guys over the next few weeks?
Yeah, it's good energy. Like that's one thing all the way. Like, especially after the first 2 days I just worked out with him, you know, if they're that same person every day, it's going to be great for the team. He's going to grind us. I think it's going to be so good for us going forward. We just got to have a growth mentality to understand that just because we feel a little tired today, we keep on this path, like, you're going to be amazing. By the end of OTA, by the end of training camp, you know, I'm excited for where this team can go lifting with him and stuff. But he's working us, so I'm excited. Yep.
Do you think your positional flexibility from your time in Yale, playing corner, playing safety, then playing linebacker, does that give you a benefit in like learning all these different new systems? Like you said, you know, inputting all these different systems every time you get a new coach.
Yeah, I think so. Just because, one, you can understand what other positions are doing as you're going. You can understand the why. Whatever your job responsibility is so important, maybe it's to help out a safety, maybe it's to help out a corner in their job responsibility. But I think just going forward, or going through the NFL, as soon as I came to the NFL, I changed position to a linebacker. I'm always learning new concepts, new playbook in order to not have to do well in order to be successful. So coming into a new coordinator, it's nothing new for me in terms of adapting and learning and having to execute on the fly. But as you said, maybe that flexibility all the way through my college career has kind of geared me to start thinking like that, always be able to adapt with whatever comes.
I don't know if you saw over the weekend, Demario Douglas gifted his mom a brand new car. Did you do something like that when you were drafted or under that rookie contract? Are you doing something like that for someone?
For my parents?
Parents, siblings, whoever you got.
Yeah, we're pretty frugal, so especially being Nigerian, if you give them something they don't need, they're going to be like, why do you do that? So I've definitely been blessed to not have people that needed that per se. I think my parents, they didn't have a lot, but they did a lot to get me to square zero, I'd say. Able to pay off my student debts in college, but they haven't hounded me in terms of needing a lot. I've helped people out along the way. That's our personal relationship. I'm not going to sit here and brag about people I've helped and stuff, but I didn't have no, even for myself, I think for the first 2 years, my biggest expense was a couch in my apartment. So I got my 2020 Toyota Camry. Then that was my biggest one, but I'm not spending a lot for real. So I got a house. Throughout my career, I got one of those, so that's about it. That's really all I need. Yep.
What's up? You guys good? Good? Awesome. Good. Great. Oh, it feels great. It feels great being able to unrestricted hold Shay and help out around the house, and obviously the football side, work out and throw. I'm able to do all that now, and I'm getting there, which feels really good.
What exactly is the plan as far as as much as you can explain,
Yeah.
as far as your return to play right now and what you are able to do right now?
Well, I mean, there's not really a set deadline on it, just because we don't play a game till this fall. So obviously I'm going to be ready sooner than that. But so I'm very optimistic I'll be perfectly good for the season. But as far as just right now, I think just kind of pacing ourselves as OTAs go and working myself up to where I'm in shape as far as throwing. And so just the amount of throws might be a little lighter to start and work our way up just until I get really fully back. But I imagine that, and then maybe just some handoff stuff will be a little limited. But besides that, I think that won't last too long. So I don't have
But you are throwing, right?
Yeah, I'm throwing, and obviously I'm kind of progressing and working my way up further distance, more throws, just trying to be smart and not just jump off the, into the deep end, right away, just trying to work up to it.
How do you feel to see most of the guys kind of back in the building, get the team back together?
Feels great. Just the energy in the building, I've been here a lot just because of rehab and stuff and trying to get my shoulder healthy. And so I've been around this offseason a lot more than maybe even typically. So just to have all the guys back in the building just bring some energy and some juice. And I know from a player standpoint, everybody's excited. Everybody in the locker room's pumped to be back. And then, the coaching side, you can feel the energy and the excitement. And those guys are up here working all off season, trying to get everything ready. So they're chomping at the bit by the time we get in because they get to actually do what they love and coach and have the players around. So I think there's a good balance of just everybody's excited and very optimistic and a lot of energy.
Coach Coen talked a little bit about working with you on your footwork. Can you talk about what that kind of looks like, what that means, and just some slight tweaks along the way?
Yeah, just there's some things that, there's some things I've known about my footwork over the years of playing that I felt like have been a little bit of a weakness. So there's some things that we've talked about of just what are those things? What are we identifying as things to, excuse me, as things to work on? And then the system is built around timing and tying your feet to your progression and playing on time. And so it allows you to get backside, allows you to get to check downs or whatever it may be. And you can feel comfortable playing on time. And more than any system I've ever learned, it's structured and based on that. And it's so everything's tied exactly to, all right, this route is on this timing. So then your next progression is off of this footwork, off this timing. So it all ties in perfect. You don't have multiple routes declaring at the same time, which is hard as a quarterback because then you're sitting back there and you got to make a decision before really the guy's open or covered, So I think they've done a really good job with this system of really thinking through how does it tie into a quarterback's feet, and that's what we've been talking about. And it takes some work and flipping my stance, just some little things like that are small that many people wouldn't notice, but it is. I have so many banked reps of the other way. I got to just get all these on my own and work them. So once camp comes around, I'm ready to go.
So it sounds like you really like the new system so far.
I do. I think it's. I really believe in it. I believe in the process. Obviously it's early, but as far as just what the main, I guess, priorities are going to be for us and how they see the game and our offense, what we want to build it around, like all those things I'm in alignment with. I think just the few things that we've talked about as far as sinking the feet to the progressions and to all these things is really important as a quarterback. I think I'm going to be able to play even faster and get through progressions and feel confident and trust that.
What have you learned from Liam and maybe Dave Gladstone that is a little bit different from maybe previous regime? What have you learned about them and how different is it around here now?
It's a lot different. I think it's hard to compare. Just the energy and obviously younger guys. It's just a different setup than we've had in the past. Not to say, one thing or the other. It is very different. And I think all around the coaching staff too is majority younger guys. But the one thing I will say is everyone is in alignment, and it's the same message, and it's very clear of what's being preached and what the culture is going to be about for our team, and the messaging is crystal clear. And I think that's obviously important. And even starting with James, haven't spent as much time with him, but obviously I've got to talk to him and really enjoyed that. But from him all the way through the whole staff it's all the same. And I think that's a great starting point for us. Obviously, time will tell, and we have to win on the field. That's the most important. But I like where we're at.
As you talk about
to not have, or are you or other guys frustrated? Like we got to go through another coaching change, another new system. Like how desperate are you guys for just like some 4, 5, 6 year stability?
Yeah, it's challenging for sure. But I think we're past that point as far as I don't know if frustration is the right word, but just starting over is always hard. And obviously, we had a good year in 22, and then things just turned on us over time, unfortunately, and didn't play well enough and didn't win enough games the last 2 years, and we found ourselves in this position. So I think going from that to where we were at, and obviously not having a coach, and now we have Liam, and I'm past that point of feeling like, golly, you got to start over again. But I mean, just to be honest, there is a little bit of that at first because it is, you're doing it again, and you've done it before, and you've done it a few times. So there's a little bit of that at first, but I think we're way past that. I know guys are really excited. I'm really excited. I'm just excited to learn this system and to dive in and put as much work in as I can to have a great year. And I have a lot of confidence in the group that we have here. I'm sure after the draft, the team's going to change even more and what they're doing upstairs and down in the locker room. Like I really believe in what we're doing, and so I think that's where the excitement comes from. Seeing what was said initially and how it's being carried out, I think is exciting for me because you're seeing that they're doing all the things that you wanted them to do and that they said they'd do from the beginning. So it's exciting.
Since you referenced the energy, can you see a difference since you've known him now for 4 years, but with Tony now being in the role that he's in? Is there a difference? Because I know Liam talked about how there was a culture meeting, not just with the team, but with the entire staff in every department.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Tony for a while now. Obviously, he has that role, so it's part of his job description for, I wouldn't say just his opinion, but for his input, with the staff, with the team, and he's way more involved than he was before. But I knew we've had brief conversations throughout the years And I could always tell that Tony had a lot on his mind, for one, and had a lot that, you know, he might not have been in the role to voice all that, but just on our brief interactions, you know, we've had a great relationship, and I feel like could always be honest with him. And we've been very candid with each other over the years, and it's been brief, but it's nice seeing him in that role and being a former player and sitting in our seats and how much he cares about this team. You know, that's why he does it. It's a guy that, you know, I wouldn't say it was probably his lifelong dream to be in that role since he was a kid. Like, he's been a player, and he wants to see this team be great and this city be better too. And I think that's what's cool about it, is he's doing it from that standpoint, not for any other reason.
Trevor, diving into a new system now for the first time as like a dad, how do you balance now having to know the difference between a cry when they have to get changed, or they're teething, or they're hungry? How do you balance having all of that new stuff to know and then doing this, getting used to a new system for the first time?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, because when you're home, it's not as much, you know, you're not just sitting around doing nothing and have all that time necessarily. In some ways you have more time, I think, because you make less plans. Just being a dad is like, you don't have as many plans to go out and do stuff or take trips or whatever. So I think just in between, when she's down for naps, you know, trying to get into the stuff as much as I can, start with formations, motions, all that stuff, just the base stuff, and then starting with some of the concepts and stuff now. And we're going to start installing more as a team that we're back in OTAs. So we have this set time here now, which is nice, and get to talk with the guys through it. But yeah, no, it's definitely different. You got to manage your time well, and also you got to be able to audible and adjust, because Shay wakes up and it's not, hold on, I need like 10 more minutes to finish this. It's right then. So it's an adjustment, but thankfully I got a great wife and Shay's mom, Marissa, to help me with that. She does more than I do, so I can't complain.
Do you find it easier, maybe, since this is your third NFL playbook, just to learn to absorb all of this stuff since you've sort of done it over the last couple of years?
Yeah, there's some things, you know, you're used to finding ways to like make everything stick. I think the hard part is when you hear things that are the same words that mean something different. Like you got a lot of systems that kind of go through your head, and you got to really differentiate it in everything and find a way to learn it that way. I think that's maybe the only more challenging part, knowing multiple systems. But for the most part, I think the formations and motions, all the basic stuff, like that was really hard for me to learn my rookie year. And the play calls, the length, all that stuff, because I just wasn't used to any of it. Now being in multiple systems, like that's a lot. That comes more second nature, and it's easier to pick up.
Have you talked to Baker at all about playing for Liam, what Liam kind of did for him, etc.?
I haven't yet. You know, I know Baker, I wouldn't say well, but we're buddies, and every time I see him, you know, we try to catch up, talk. I really got a lot of respect for him. I haven't got a chance to yet, but I need to. I've heard through other people that have talked to Baker at different things throughout the offseason that he's just says great things about him and how much he helped him, and said, I'm going to love playing for him. So I've kind of heard that through, I guess, mutual friends and stuff.
How tough is it going to be this season without Christian and Evan, not just on the field, but those were your friends? Like,
yeah,
hung out with those guys a lot.
It's tough. Yeah, it's hard. You know, you build relationships with guys, and you know, unfortunately, I've seen those two guys are a little different because we spent 3 years together, and I guess the majority of my time here, besides my rookie year. So it's hard seeing guys go. It's part of the business, unfortunately. You know, it's just, you got to kind of take it for what it is and move on, honestly. But the relationship piece of it will always be there. You know, we built special relationships and friendships that thankfully will last outside of this being on the same team, you know. So I think that's the good thing about it, because there's certain people, you know, when they leave, it's like, that was my guy, but you kind of lose touch a little bit. But those are two guys that will always stay in touch. We'll be close friends, and obviously wish nothing but the best for him, except for twice a year with Christian, and I think we play the Broncos this year too. So once for Evan. So no, those guys, they do it the right way, and obviously it's disappointing they're not here. Obviously there's a lot that goes into this other than just than friendships and relationships, and you know, that part is always going to be hard, but over the years you kind of get used to, you know, dealing with all that stuff, and I talk to those guys a lot still, so we're keeping in touch.
Trevor, I asked Foye this. I'm not going to tell you his answer just yet until you answer it. But over the weekend, local guy Demario Douglas surprised his mom with a new car. Did you do anything like that when getting drafted or under your rookie contract or anything like that?
Nothing that big, not yet. There's stuff I like to keep private, but no, I haven't done the car yet or anything. That's awesome.
You said at your season-ending press conference, I'm trying to remember, it was obviously after Doug was gone, I forgot if Trent was gone yet, but you said that you felt that a concerted effort to run the ball was needed, and that was what was lacking the last 2 to 3 years. Do you feel like there are steps that have been taken and that are being taken to rectify that?
Definitely, 100%. You know, I think it's not only just trying to run the ball. It's what's the plan. I think everyone tries to run the ball. I think everybody knows in football that's important. I mean, if you know football at all, you know that's important. So I think everybody knows that, but just from the little that we've gotten into, the plan to run the ball well, effectively, efficiently, the way we can adapt throughout games, throughout the season, figuring out what we're good at. Naturally, we're going to be better at certain things than we are at others. Those things, how you determine what the defense is going to do, how you see what they're doing to get yourself in the best play. There's just so much stuff that I'm excited to learn and get into that is kind of new for me. And it's more, I think, right now for us, it's going to be more to learn. It's going to be more work put in for all the guys of got to learn the system, because it's a tough system to learn, but it's going to help us play faster. It's going to help us be in the right play more than we're not. It's going to set us up for success, but you got to put the time in and study.
Not having Kirk or Evan, those gaps of friendship and stuff, but how do you adjust without them now? Do you hope that you have some more targets coming in soon, or how do you adjust to losing them?
I've learned throughout this my time here, just you can't control who's here, who's going to be here, who's not going to be here, who's going to get traded, who's going to get released. You don't know any of that really, and those are decisions that are not in my realm. So from what we have here right now, I know those guys, and obviously Diami's a new guy, and we got Hunter and Johnny, two new tight ends as well. I know what we have to work with, and I'm sure there'll be additions from the draft. Who knows what those are going to be, but I like what we have, to be honest. Obviously losing Christian and Evan are two big losses, so I think we got some good guys in free agency, and I'm sure we'll supplement in the draft as well. But it's a different system, so it's hard to compare apples to apples of what their usage is going to be in this system, and kind of it's just really hard to compare because they're two totally different offenses. So I really like I said, Diami and the speed, and obviously Brian I thought he had some great experience last year with all the injuries we had of having to just step up, and everyone knew we're targeting Brian, and he's going to get majority of the targets, and he still shined and played well and produced every game. So that was great practice for him, because that's what's going to happen now that he's shown that the rest of his career. So I really like where we're at. Obviously, we're going to keep getting better. We're going to add pieces, but yeah, it's kind of a hard question to answer. I hope that helped.
Seems like Burton's role is going to increase, expand this year. What have you seen from last year, and even since he got drafted? Just he's ready for this.
Britton is beyond ready. Just the way he practices, the way he works. I think I do give a lot of credit to Evan. I think Britton's a hard worker naturally, but coming in and being behind Evan and having that kind of guy to look up to, and as far as Evan's work ethic and being out there early, staying late, putting in all the extra time, I think Britton really fell in line with that and has kept that going. So that piece of it makes you feel really good about him, because he's doing everything the right way. And then obviously his talent on the field. I mean, he's a great blocker. He's nasty, physical, likes blocking. That's something that he's good at and likes doing. And then when he gets the ball in his hands, breaks tackles, he can run, great hands, he's physical. He really can do everything you need him to do. So I think he's beyond ready for this opportunity. And that's the give and take, right? You're disappointed, and the thing with Evan, losing a friend, losing a great player, but Britton gets an opportunity to step up even more, which he did a lot at times last year. So he's gonna do great, and I'm just excited to keep building that relationship with him.
How much do you feel like you put on your shoulders over the last couple of years, both mentally and physically, just feeling like you might have had to make a play here and there, versus maybe now with the new coaching staff, how they're talking about emphasizing the ground attack, all the different things that can kind of take that off of you. How do you sort of compare the two?
Yeah, it's there was definitely times I did that, and I wouldn't say that's part of playing quarterback. You have those feelings sometimes, and you got to be able to play the game the right way at all times and make those calculated risk decisions, whatever it may be. That there'll be times to do those too, but no matter the offense, you're going to have those situations come up where it's like you might feel like you need to make a play, but you don't. Just make the smart play. It depends. It's all situational based, right? If it's 4th down, if it's 4th and 10 at the end of the game, then that's different. You're throwing into traffic. You're trying to make something happen, but that's part of playing quarterback, and I've grown a lot over the years of learning when's the right time to take those risks, when isn't, when's it worth it. But you're always going to have that. But the hope and the plan is to have less of those because you're on schedule. You make the game easier. I think when you think of QB friendly, it's what's the game plan, how you call it, what's the sequence of the calls, how the game flow goes, all those things. Like that's what I think helps a QB out in this league. It's honestly, it is just hard to drop back every play and make it happen because the pass rush is so good, the disguises are so good, and it's just hard. So I think the more variety you can have just helps you as an offense.
Appreciate you.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate y'all.